Assalamu alaikum students. Today we will discuss the principal skeletal muscles of upper limb and shoulder region. The muscles of upper limb, the muscles of pectoral girdle. First of all, the muscles of pectoral girdle. These muscles join the axial skeleton to the appendicular skeleton. The shoulder girdle, which is also known as the pectoral girdle, it is a bony ring incomplete posteriorly. The shoulder girdle is formed by two sets of bones, the scapula posteriorly and the clavicle anteriorly, and completed anteriorly by the manubrium of the sternum. Now, sternum is the part of axial skeleton. Now, there are direct attachments between the shoulder girdle and the axial skeleton. Uh, these are through the pectoralis minor muscle, subclavius muscle, serratus anterior muscle, trapezius muscle, rhomboids, and levator scapulae muscles. So trapezius, this muscle covers the shoulder and the back of the neck. Here you can see it is covering the shoulder and the back of the neck, and the upper attachment, that is the origin, is from the occipital protuberance of the occipital bone. The medial attachment is to the transverse process of the cervical and thoracic vertebrae. Lateral attachment, that is the insertion, is to the clavicle and the spine of scapula and the acromial process and spine of scapula. Now, what are the actions of trapezius? It pulls the head backwards, it squares the shoulder, and it controls the movement of scapula. Nerve supply is the accessory cranial nerve. This is the 11th cranial nerve. You will study it when you will study the nervous system, that there are cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves, they arises from central nervous system, that is, they arises from the brain part of the central nervous system, while the spinal nerves arises from the spinal cord, the part of central nervous system. So it is supplied by the accessory cranial nerve. This is the now this is the trapezius muscle. You can see here that it is arising from the external occipital protuberance and the thoracic vertebrae, here cervical and thoracic vertebrae, and inserted into the clavicle, here you can see, and the scapula. So its action, it's due to its broad shape, it has got the upper fibers, the lower fibers, and the middle fibers. Here you can see the middle fibers. Now the action of the lower fibers is to move the scapula downwards, while the action of middle fibers is to square the shoulders, bring the both scapula towards each other, thus squaring the shoulders. And the upper fibers, they turn the head backwards, or they extend the head. Now, indirect attachment of the pectoral girdle to the axial skeleton. Now, there are two muscles. Number one is pectoralis major, which indirectly attach the pectoral girdle to the axial skeleton, and the deltoid muscle. So, these are the latissimus dorsi muscle. Now, the pectoralis major muscle, it lies on the anterior thoracic wall. Now, its origin is from the, you can see here, medial side of the clavicle and the sternum. So, it has got two heads. One head is from the clavicle and the other head is from the sternum, and the aponeurosis of external oblique muscle, which is present in the on the anterior abdominal wall. Now, its fibers, they turn and they are inserted into the medial lip of the intertubercular groove. Medial lip of the intertubercular groove of the humerus. Actions of this muscle are it flexes and adducts the arm. It flexes, adducts and medially rotates the arm. Its nerve supply is branches from the brachial plexus. So here you can see the action of pectoralis major muscle. Now this is the action of adduction. The limb is abducted here in the first position, so it is lying lateral. Then the movement towards the midline is the adduction. So you can see here it is producing adduction of the arm at shoulder joint. Then medial rotation of the arm. Here you can see the humerus is rotating medially and the forearm is going inward. So this is the movement of medial rotation. And the third movement is flexion of the arm. Here you can see the forward movement, the ventral surface of the humerus and the ventral surface of chest. They are coming closer. So this is the flexion of the arm movement. It is produced by pectoralis major muscle. So latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi also categorized as muscle of back, and this arises from the now what is the name latissimus dorsi means? As I have told you in my previous lecture of the naming of muscle, that latissimus means broad, dorsi means back or posterior surface. So it is a broad muscle. You can see here it is a broad muscle on the posterior, on the back of the body. So it takes origin from the posterior part of the iliac crust. Here you can see iliac crust. This is the part of the hip bone, posterior part of the iliac crust, and the spinous process of lumbar and lower thoracic vertebrae. Insertion is into the bicipital groove of the humerus. So actions, it adducts, medially rotates and extend the arm. It adducts, medially rotate and extend the arm. Nerve supply is also from the branches of brachial plexus. So here you can see that this muscle is present in the back of the body and it is a broad muscle, and you can see its origin from the posterior part of iliac crust and the spine, lumbar and thoracic spine. And here you can see the action that it extend the arm and medially rotates it. Okay, here you can see the adduction of the arm done by the latissimus dorsi. Okay, now the muscular attachment between the pectoral girdle and the upper limb. Number one muscle is the deltoid. Origin is from the clavicle, acromion process and spine of scapula. So it is arising from the clavicle and acromion process and spine of the scapula. So it is arising from here. This is the origin, and insertion is into the deltoid tuberosity present on the humerus. So actions of this muscle are anterior fibers causes flexion of the arm, middle fibers, so these are the anterior fibers, middle fibers are in the middle and they causes abduction of the arm, and posterior fibers here they extend and laterally rotates shoulder. Extend and laterally rotates shoulder. Nerve supply is axillary nerve, which is the branch of brachial plexus. Now here you can see the three fibers. The anterior fibers shown in the red, the middle fibers shown in the blue, and the posterior fibers shown in the blue, and the anterior fibers shown in the red, while the middle fibers are of green color. So what action is performed here and what fibers are involved? The middle fibers, and you can see that the middle fibers are abducting the arm. Here you can see the middle fibers are abducting the arm, that is the arm is going away from the midline. So this is the abduction of the arm at the shoulder joint. This is performed by the middle fibers of the deltoid muscle. Now here the anterior fibers, they they flexes this shoulder joint. Anterior fibers flexes the shoulder joint, while the posterior fibers, they extend and laterally rotates the arm. Short scapular muscles. Now these are four short muscles, also known as rotator cuff muscles, namely the subscapularis, the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, the teres minor. Now four muscles, they converge on the humerus from the scapula to form an almost continuous cuff of flat supporting tendons. So here you can see continuous cuff of flat supporting tendons, often referred to as rotator cuff. And basically these muscles, they rotates the medially or laterally rotates the arm, and it protects the shoulder joint. So the nerve supply is by branches from the brachial plexus. So here you can see the supraspinatus muscle, the infraspinatus muscle, the teres minor muscle, and the subscapularis coming from anteriorly. This is the posterior view and this is the anterior view. Very important injury, which is known as rotator cuff injury or rotator cuff tendinitis. It occurs, the rotator cuff muscle stabilizes and strengthens the shoulder joint. Now injury here is common, leading to pain and restricted mobility of the shoulder, and healing can take months or even years. So healing occurs late. Here you can see the rotator cuff tendon, they are damaged, and due to this damage, rotator cuff tendinitis occur and leading to painful and restricted movements at the shoulder joint. Now biceps, this is the muscle of the arm. As the name is suggesting, biceps means a muscle having two heads of origin. So this arises by two heads. One head is short and one head is long. So the short head arises from the coracoid. Short head arises from the coracoid process of the scapula. So you can see here, from here, the short head is arising, and it is going, and the long head arises from the rim of the supraglenoid cavity. So rim of the supraglenoid cavity, the both head, they arise, and then they are inserted. They are inserted into the. Now both the tendon crosses the elbow joint and are inserted into the radial tuberosity of the Now here you can see its action is, it helps to stabilize and flex the shoulder joint, and at elbow joint it assists the flexion and supination movement. So it causes flexion at the elbow joint and supinates the forearm. Nerve supply is by musculocutaneous nerve, also a branch of brachial plexus. Coracobrachialis muscle, the origin is from the coracoid process of scapula, and insertion is middle third of humerus. So it arises from scapula and inserted into the humerus, lies on the medial side of the arm. So it flexes the shoulder joint, and nerve supply is from musculocutaneous nerve. Again, the same nerve which is supplying the biceps muscle. The other muscles include the brachialis. It is also present in the anterior compartment of the arm, and it also flexes the elbow joint. It arises from the shaft of humerus inserted into the ulna, and nerve supply is same. The triceps muscle, this is the extensor of the elbow joint, and it is present in the posterior compartment of the arm. It arises by three heads. That's why it is known as triceps. So one head arises from the scapula and two from the posterior surface of the humerus, and they are inserted into the olecranon process of the ulna. Now action, as I have told you, extension of the elbow joint, and nerve supply is by radial nerve. Very important nerve, radial nerve, also a branch of brachial plexus. The action of triceps muscle you can see here, that it is extending the elbow joint. So the function of triceps is to extend the elbow joint. Okay, muscles of the forearm. Forearm has, again, in forearm we have got an anterior compartment in which the flexors lies and a posterior compartment in which the extensor muscles lie. And muscles of the interior compartment are flexor muscles, while the muscles in the posterior compartment are known as extensor muscles. So muscles of the interior compartment, very important muscle, pronator teres. It lies obliquely across the front of the upper third of forearm, and it arises from the medial epicondyle of humerus and the coronoid process of the ulna. So here you can see that it is arising from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and the second part is arising from the coronoid process of the ulna, inserted into the lateral surface of shaft of radius. So you can see here, and action is it rotates the radio-ulnar joint, causing the action of pronation. Pronation means, here you can see, turning your hand from the anatomical position into the writing position. So this is the action of the pronator teres. Now the flexor carpi radialis and flexor carpi ulnaris muscles, these are also the muscles of the flexor compartment of the arm, and these the radialis, it lies on the anterior surface, while ulnaris, it lies on the medial surface of the arm. Both originate from the medial epicondyle of the humerus, you can see here, and they are inserted into the bones of the hand, and their action is, the action of flexor carpi radialis is to flex the elbow joint and laterally deviate it, laterally abduct the wrist joint, while the action of the flexor carpi ulnaris is to flex the elbow joint and adduct the wrist joint. Here you can see that it is causing adduction of the wrist joint. Now the supinator muscle. Now the supinator muscle, it lies obliquely across the posterior and lateral aspects of forearm. Its fibers arises from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. You can see here, its fibers are arising from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus, and they are inserted into the lateral surface of the upper one-third of the radius. Now it rotates the radio-ulnar joint, often with the help of biceps, changing the hand from the writing to the anatomical position. So here you can see that it is changing the hand from writing to anatomical position. Now the flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus, these both muscles are the flexors of the wrist joint and the fingers. Both arises from the medial epicondyle of the humerus and the bones in the forearm, and they arise as fleshy part, but later on they are converted into tendons in the forearm, and their tendon passes through the forearm, through the wrist into the hand, and they are inserted into the phalanx of the fingers, and both these muscles flexes the elbow joint as well as the fingers. cause flexion of the fingers. So here you can see they are flexing the wrist joint and the flexion of the fingers. Extensor muscles of the forearm. There are the extensor muscles of the forearm are extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor digitorum, and these muscles are present in the extensor compartment of the forearm, and again they have got fleshy region from the lateral epicondyle and of the humerus and the bones present in the forearm, and they are converted then they are converted into tendons, and tendons crosses the wrist joint and enters the fingers, and they are attached to the phalanges. Now these muscles, they cause extension of the wrist and the finger. So here you can see the extension of the wrist joint produced by the muscles of the extensor compartment of the forearm. Okay, muscles that control the movement of fingers. So the large muscles of the forearm extend into the hand to flex or extend the fingers and the wrist. But smaller muscles that arises from the carpal and metacarpal bones. So you can see these are the smaller muscles. These arises from the carpal bones and the metacarpal bones, and they control tiny and precise finger movements via tendinous attachments on the phalanges. So precise movements like writing or playing the instruments, okay, these are done by these muscles of the intrinsic muscles of the hand.